And finally, we have Sangiovese, another one of my all-time favorite grape varieties. Sangiovese is, of course, Italian, and dates from, well, the first recorded mention of it, we think, was about around the 1600s, but it was definitely around by the 1700s. It's the most widely planted grape variety in Italy still, and partly this is because it is a relatively useful blending agent in that you have very good acidity and very good tannin usually, so it adds bite and freshness to blends. I say usually though because one of the big challenges with Sangiovese is that it's a grape variety that clones very, very easily, and that means that you have lots of different types of Sangiovese. And so while some of them are characteristically grippy and crisp, some of them are a lot softer. It's a grape variety which is, well, up until really recently, was not allowed to be used by itself in Chianti and Chianti Classico, etc., which are probably the most famous appellations in Italy which make use of this. The reason for this was that the authorities felt that because of its structure, its acidity and its tannin, it was just too much, and people would have a terribly difficult time drinking a bottle of wine that hadn't been softened somewhat by either white grape varieties. It was very traditional to blend things like Malvasia Bianco or Trebbiano in with Sangiovese, or slightly softer red grape varieties. Also, as a variety, it's not always that high in pigment, high in colour, and red varieties that could add that would be added to the blend as well. However, again, with modern viticultural techniques and modern winemaking techniques, now people are more than capable of making the most delicious wine from 100% Sangiovese. What you have in your case is a Sangiovese from an area of Tuscany called Maremma, which is much closer to the sea than Chianti and Chianti Classico. So the weather there is more moderate. It's not quite as cold, not quite as warm, but what that gives you in the grape is a juicier, more easygoing variety. So the Morellino di Scansano, which is the wine that you're going to have from Maremma, is Sangiovese with the volume turned down slightly. It's still got lovely, really juicy red fruit flavors, but it doesn't have even a fraction of the grip and the bite that Sangiovese can have. But for those of you who like grip and bite, like me, we've also got one of the very nicest Chianti Classicos that I know at the moment in the case. This lovely wine is made by a lady who only makes one wine. She only has about 2.5 hectares, which is very small, and is one of the nicest examples I know of very pure, very complex, delicious Sangiovese. What's happened in the last 20 years with Sangiovese is that more and more people are starting to oak it. And that's not always a bad thing. There are some very delicious examples with judicious oak, but a lot of the time the oak really does take away the essence of Sangiovese, because while it's a great variety with grip and structure, it actually has a kind of delicacy to it as well. There's a very lovely, crisp, delicate red fruit character that is totally swamped and lost if you pile too much new oak on top of that. So in the Chianti Classico in your case, it's straight up fruit with, of course, some minerality, because it is a wine that's made from organically grown grapes. And while it's a wine that probably a lot of people would prefer to have with food, because it does have structure, it's something that I could drink by itself just because it's so completely delicious. So decant this about half an hour before you drink it, and don't drink it too warm. 18, 19 degrees Celsius is probably the best temperature, and do enjoy it very much. This learn case has been put together at the extremely discounted price of only £90 for the 6 bottles. And even if you're not that interested in the learning aspect, you should note that that really is quite extraordinary for such very delicious wines. The Chianti and the Follard Rouge in particular are very special. So I hope you did learn lots of very interesting things watching this, and hopefully we'll see you soon.